Yeah, so we thought we would start off with you probably have heard the phrase flow before, staying in flow, but we kind of want to correlate it to how can you stay in flow and utilize our new CRM and how some of the automations that are available in the CRM will kind of allow you to, like Emily said earlier, set it and forget it. And so we talk about flow a lot, but so what exactly is flow? And it's really just the frequency of interaction that you have with your past clients, your sphere, people who you're currently working with. So anybody who you're interacting with in your real estate world, it really, how often are you staying in touch with them? So the goal of flow is to connect frequently and to stay top of mind with your sphere of influence. And, you've probably heard it said before, it's not necessarily so much the people that you know who may ultimately enter into a real estate transaction with you. I mean, it's great when they do, but it's really the people that they know who we're also trying to kind of be front and center of mind with. So as they're out in their daily lives and having conversations with their people, that when real estate comes up, you're the first name that your contacts mention to the people that they know that may not know you yet. So what is the frequency? What's the magic number? And I love this graphic, Emily, for a couple of reasons. One, I think sometimes people are shocked by the recommendations on how often we should be staying in touch with people. So you got the kind of quizzical look like, really, you're serious? 3 times a month for auto flow? But the reality is if you're providing something of value, it doesn't matter that it's 3 times a month. Your people are going to appreciate hearing from you if they know what they're receiving from you is something that is going to be applicable to them and something that they can take away with. And then, of course, the live flow or that kind of one-on-one interaction, whether it be a phone call, better ideally face-to-face, whether that be a coffee or a lunch or stopping by for a pop by, at least a minimum of 2 times a year. So those are the kind of the targets and the goals. And so what we'd like to do is just kind of talk about how the CRM specifically can assist in achieving those outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought that little baby face, that confused look was so perfect, and might draw some parallels to some of the faces you make when you see, what, really? 3 touch points a month to the people within my sphere. So that seems like a lot, but what can make it more palatable, right, is if we go ahead and take advantage of some of the tools within the CRM that can be automated on your behalf. So working within our new CRM, by the way, customer relationship management system, in kvCORE, the items that we can automate, you're still going to be able to send holiday e-cards and our beloved company newsletter and luxury newsletter. I've been very excited to see some of our agents already embracing, agents and brokers already using those holiday e-cards and company newsletters. And I have to say, Todd, I don't know if you've received any of them yet, but they are beautiful. The format is so gorgeous from our new CRM. So
yeah, I've received a couple. I don't think he's on this morning, but shout out to Russell Gray. I'm on his contact list and got his newsletter yesterday, and it looked amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to Avery. I did receive hers as well, so she's not on here, but hers looked awesome. So to those of you that have dipped your toe in that water and have already sent it, congratulations. And for those of you that haven't, we're going to show you a really easy way of how you can get those company newsletters set up. If you had them set up in the old CRM. Same applies to holiday e-cards. We'll look at how we can have those scheduled out. Search alerts. So we are going to look today at how you can automate search alerts at 7-day increments. And the same thing with market reports. So search alerts, we know that those are a little bit more specific to a buyer's needs and buyer's preferences. So that would be great for anybody you have in your system that is a prospective buyer or an active buyer. Those search alerts are going to essentially be the same search alerts that you might be setting up through concierge mode within FMLS. But the advantage of having that search alert set up in our new kvCORE CRM is that you can consolidate all of your communication into one place, right? Which we know the more communication you have there, the richer that dialogue becomes, and the more behavioral automations you can set up from the responses that you're getting. So we'll do that. We'll do our market reports as well. For those of you that previously had clients, sphere contacts set up on a market insight in our new CRM, we're going to show you a really easy way to set somebody up on a market report within our new platform. One really exciting feature as well within kvCORE is the ability to have birthday and home anniversary text and emails sent to your contacts on your behalf. Okay, you can of course look at the messaging that's going out to them and edit that how it would best come from you and your mouth. But can we pause there for a minute? Having the ability to set up the CRM so that it's automatically connecting with your people on special occasions, right? We know life, it gets busy. We have a lot to manage. Definitely recommend outsourcing the birthday and home anniversaries to our new CRM so that it can work for you. And there is the smart campaigns. The smart campaigns, this is also called a drip campaign. So we'll look at today a couple of different drip campaigns that you can apply to your sphere based on where they're at in their home buying journey. There's a lot more automations that can be set up, but for the sake of not overwhelming you and giving you just enough to be dangerous and get started, we're really going to focus, within like the top portion of our list there. So if any of you have joined on any of the kvCORE webinars, I took a screenshot of this cycle that they show pretty consistently. And it really kind of helped me see, okay, what's kind of the difference, right, between what I'm doing when I'm setting up a smart campaign or a drip campaign, and what are the things that I'm setting up as a way to consistently nurture my clients, my sphere, all of the relationships that I have organized within my database. So starting kind of backwards here and really focusing on this follow-up and this nurturing, the follow-up system that we're going to integrate with kvCORE so that it follows up for you is our smart campaign and our drip campaigns. We're going to consistently nurture your clients, like Todd said, with valuable real estate information, right? The search alerts and the market reports, so that we're really helping you position yourself as the subject matter expert for your local geographical area. So hopefully that kind of helps you compartmentalize, okay, here are a couple of different automations we're going to look at today, but really here's how I can use them in my arsenal so that I'm developing a solid follow-up system. And then I'm also sprinkling in the search alerts, market reports, so that I can continually nurture everyone within my database.
Yeah, and Emily, let me pause there for a second. I was just going to add something. People think, is this really necessary? Do I really need to be staying in touch with my people at this frequency? We've referred to it in the past. When you look at NAR's profile of home buyers and sellers, shortly after the interchange with the agent, whether you're a seller or a buyer, they ask the question, how likely are you to refer? And it's like an overwhelming over 90% said I'd absolutely refer that agent. But then when you look back and you see, like, when they do future real estate transactions, how often they use the agent that they used to begin with, it declines down to like 30%. And that's not because that's a bad agent. It's just because they did a poor job in staying in touch with their people. And, I'll kind of like even, draw a relationship outside of real estate. Like, we've got 3 dogs, and the vet we use, I love the amount of the touch points that they have with us. Like, I just got an email this morning reminding me that Prince and Rosie needed their Bravecto, but they're always sending out messages, at least on a monthly basis, staying in touch with me, checking on the dogs and that kind of thing. And I'm sure there's other examples across the board, how just kind of that, and that's an automated thing that they're doing, right? And it's the same thing, but it makes me feel like, hey, they're paying attention to my pet and my dog. And the same thing applies to, anything, related to real estate. So the nurturing part is really, really important. And that's why this CRM is so beautiful at helping with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big gap between our last. So it's something we're super excited about with our new CRM. But thanks for interjecting there, Todd. I always love the ninja philosophy, that your next transaction is in your current transaction, right? It's how well you're nurturing that client that you're working with and taking care of them, so that they can be your cheerleader, your raving fan, and continue to help to build your pipeline. So let's, without further ado, just get right into it, right into kvCORE. So first and foremost, want to make sure everyone has an understanding of how to get logged into kvCORE. Obviously, that would be super helpful in you successfully achieving some of these automation points that we'll review today. So we're going to get logged into My Harry Norman office. We're going to select our hamburger menu, and you're going to see right here kvCORE website. We're going to select the Rev CRM. And here is our beautiful dashboard. There are a lot of bells and whistles that might distract you when you initially get into your dashboard, but stay focused, okay? The main hubs that we are going to work off of from our dashboard will be your contacts, your smart campaigns, and then we're going to use this little icon here that says all lead engine tools. We're only going to be using that though when we want to bulk import some contacts. So let's start first. Todd, if you'll indulge me, we'll go to our profile. There's a couple of things before we start setting up those automated touch points that I want to make sure I bring your awareness to. When you go into your profile, you'll of course need to edit your profile here in order to see the fields that you have the permissions to edit. You want to make sure that you have your MLS ID, your NERDS ID, that those are included in your profile so that any listings that you have will automatically be imported into your dashboard. All of this information feeds, by the way, from My Harry Norman office. So if there's anything in this profile that you see that is grayed out that you would either like to change or add, make sure you reach out to your office manager so that they can change that on your behalf through your Harry Norman profile, okay? One thing I want to bring to your attention as we continue to scroll down, this About Me section, this feeds onto the website that you have through kvCORE, so you can fill that out as complete as you would like. The signature section here, you want to make sure that you copy and paste your Outlook signature into this signature field here and select that you want to include that signature on all of your outgoing emails. I'll use Diane as an example. Diane has a beautiful signature set up on her Outlook. It has her beautiful new headshot and her contact information within her signature. If I was Diane and I was sending communications through the CRM, I would certainly want to make sure I copy and paste that beautifully branded signature with her photo into kvCORE. So you do that here just by a quick copy and paste, turning that on. And then you, of course, need to scroll back up to the top here and hit save. Okay. Another item that we will get into, but I want to bring your attention to, is your daily call task creation. You can set the time frames from your profile that you would like emails to be sent, that you would like calls to be received from this daily task creation that's within your profile. Okay. So that's just one quick helpful hint to get you started and to make sure, first and foremost, the communications that are being sent from you are branded to you as well with your lovely Harry Norman signature. Okay. So Todd, let's just let's pretend. Will you indulge me for a minute?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we know that when we go to our contact section, right, we should see that we have all of our contacts that were in our old property-based CRM imported into our kvCORE CRM. So the vast majority of you are going to see that you already have contacts living within your smart CRM. Okay. So from here, of course, there's always some cleanup that you can do to make sure that you have complete contact information for all of your clients. But from here, the most likely way that you'll be adding new contacts will be one at a time. Okay. If you are in the camp where you need to do a bulk import, instead of coming right here to the My Contacts section, you're going to come down here to your lead engine, and you're going to select Start and Import. There's two different ways you can go about submitting a bulk import. You can have kvCORE handle that on your behalf. There is a little bit of legwork you'll have to do in order to get all of your contacts organized for kvCORE. Once you click the submit button, it'll give you the details that kvCORE needs from you in order to sync your contacts correctly. If you already are a self-starter, you want to go ahead and get this started for yourself. You don't have that 3 days of processing time to get things started. You can click here to do it yourself, get started, and you upload the CSV file that you will use to import your contacts. And I'm going to share that momentarily within the chat. But try to pay attention to the screen that I'm on instead of trying to work alongside me at the same time, so that the information we're covering becomes more memorable to you. Okay, so just know that we will use this section here to upload ourselves. And again, we went from the lead engine tools to the bulk import. You're going to use the spreadsheet that I provide to you. Hit get started, browse your file, upload that once you have all of your contacts formatted correctly, or you might be in the camp from the lead engine tool to the bulk import that you have kvCORE do it yourself. Okay. But we're going to pretend we already have all of our contacts into our CRM from property base. And we're going to pretend that we met Todd. Over the weekend at a new listing that we have in Garden Hills. All right. So Todd,
Yep. I'm house shopping, trying to decide if I want to stay where I am or if I want to move into something new. So I bumped into Emily and she was holding her open house.
Yep. And so Todd's basically just the nosy little neighbor down the street, popping over to say hello, but also in the friendly conversation we have, we learn his appetite's whet. He could have an interest, but how many of you heard lately from a prospective seller, well, I want to sell, but I have nowhere to go, right? So we're going to say Todd falls into a little bit of this camp. So we definitely know we want to add Todd into our CRM. So to add one contact at a time, we're going to go right up here to add contact. We're going to type in Mr. Todd Emerson's name. We're going to include tests next to his name. And by the way, you are definitely recommended to create as many test contacts as you would like. The more tests you create, the more kind of experiments you can do with all the automations we're about to talk through, okay?
Yeah,
So-
and Emily, while you're on that, I don't know if this is a pro tip or not, but it's something that I did is I set my, we all generally have more than one email account. So I set myself up as a contact, also set up Meredith as a contact. And I've been playing around with sending the different campaigns just so I can kind of see what the receiver end looks like. We can go in and you can see within the different campaigns what the verbiage is and so forth and so on, but I want to get the experience that receiver is getting. So
Yeah.
You might want to, if you haven't done that already, set yourself up as a contact or two and just kind of play around with it.
Yeah, such a good idea. I have a Gmail account that I basically give out to every place I shop, etc. Those spam accounts that we have. So definitely plug that in so you can see what it looks like. Great tip. We're going to plug in Todd's phone number here. Remember, in the old CRM, we didn't necessarily need a phone number, right? Because there was no automated dialing programming or texting programming within that system. Within our new system, it's really important that you have the phone number so that you can milk this CRM for all that it's worth and take advantage of that dialer and text messaging automation. Okay, so make sure also when you're adding one contact at a time that you're saying yes, you have permission to call, text, and email. Within this CRM, it'll be important for you to also include their address as well. You can actually print off labels from this CRM. So it can really streamline that process for you as well. So we're typing in all of his information. We're continuing down here. Okay, our lead info type, this is important for you to have filled out correctly and completely, because a lot of the behavioral automation that we're going to talk about and things that the CRM can basically set up for your contacts is going to depend on where they're at in their client journey. Okay, so we know that Todd right now, he's a prospective seller. Okay, we could look at him as a prospective buyer too, because we know if he needs to sell, he's going to need to also have somewhere else to call home, or Meredith might be slightly upset with you, right? So we're going to tag him as a seller and buyer. So you can select multiple lead types. Under lead status, we're not necessarily calling him a prospect, a new lead, an active lead, or a client yet. We're adding Todd into our CRM as a sphere contact, someone we just met, someone we would like to get to know, continue to nurture, and get set up on some automation so that Todd can get to know us better and we can show him the market expert that we are. All right, so we're going to hit sphere right here.
So Emily, real quick, why would you not want to select one of those other statuses? Why go with sphere versus prospect, new lead, active lead? I know
Great
that there's
question.
some reasons within the CRM that you would want to select sphere.
Yeah, absolutely. So we would want to select sphere over prospect because it's going to help us tailor the way we're communicating to our client, prospective client, and the frequency that we're communicating to them, right? We know if someone is truly in that prospect zone, we might need to amp up the communication that we're having to them a little bit more frequently. We know if that we have somebody that is an active lead, we need to be talking to them at least a minimum of weekly. On the other end, though, if we have somebody that's a closed client, we want to set them up on some different automations and touch points so that we're staying in touch with them. We are staying top of mind to them, but we're not necessarily bombarding them with our communications, and we're tailoring communications that would be more valuable for someone who is now closed, is a homeowner, versus someone that might just be coming into our funnel and really needs to ramp up their home search.
Great explanation. And the reason I asked it too is as I was playing around in the system and I was setting myself up as different things, when I got into the campaigns itself, which I know we're going to get to in a moment, you can't put people on certain campaigns unless you have the status selected a certain way. So like some of the sphere things, you can't, do them if you have them as something else.
Yep, absolutely. And you can always go back and change this lead status as well. And ultimately, that's the goal of the CRM, right? You put somebody in, they start off in your sphere, then they end up a client and they end up a closed client, right? So you're going to work that client journey, and kvCORE really helps you stay connected along the journey by having that lead status labeled correctly. So great question, Professor Emerson. The only item within the contact that you're not going to be able to change after you add it is your lead source. Okay. So I'm going to say my lead source for this was an open house. That lead source, obviously it's going to be richer and richer data for you to look into at the end of every calendar year, to go back and to take a snapshot of, okay, what was the true source of my business in 2023, right? And there might be some activities that you were doing that ultimately end up being very profitable for you that you want to tune into and make sure you focus and expand on within the following year. So that's going to be rich data to help you learn how to run your business most effectively. In the lead owner, of course, because I'm an admin status, you can see I can assign various lead owners, but the lead owner for your lead will be yourself. All right. Now here's where we can get into the smart campaigns if we already have a campaign set up. We have not set up one yet. So we're just going to put a pin right here and circle back to that shortly. Okay. We can also add hashtags here. All right. So hashtags will essentially be the vehicle that you use to subscribe your contacts to receive the Harry Norman newsletter and the Harry Norman luxury newsletter. Okay, it's a way that you can organize contacts just like we used lists in the old CRM, and you organized your contacts by list and you subscribe to them to the newsletter by adding them to the company newsletter list. In this system, we are adding them to a hashtag. Okay, so there are 2 company hashtags that you should use with every contact that you import if you want them to receive the newsletter and luxury newsletter. Okay, and that hashtag is hashtag HN newsletter.
This is something they might all want to write down right now, right, Emily?
Absolutely. Definitely something you want to write down right now. And there's multiple ways that you can add people to a hashtag. You do not have to do this one at a time. I'm just showing you as a best practice moving forward when you are naturally in the field, networking, meeting new people, and adding new contacts one at a time. The easiest way to go ahead and get them set up on those hashtags so that you can ensure to do the most low-hanging fruit possible, right? get them set up for that monthly and quarterly drip from the company. So we're going to go ahead and add Todd as a contact. No, Google, we do not want to save Todd's fake address, but thank you. Okay, now we're going to see right in here Todd's profile details, right? So one thing I would challenge everybody to do is go back through and do an audit of the contacts that you had merged over from Property Base into kvCORE. I know Michelle Collins, for one, spent about 4 hours doing this over the weekend, right? So maybe not the most ideal thing and task that you want to do over the weekend, but I would challenge you to do that because it will end up paying off in tenfold, right? The output you get from the CRM is going to be a direct result of your input. Okay, so go in, look to make sure you have phone numbers, look to make sure you have email addresses, look to make sure if you plan on printing labels from the CRM or doing any mailers down the road from the CRM, that you have their address here. Here's where we can see we have Todd already subscribed to the Harry Norman newsletter, but Todd, we forgot to put you on the luxury newsletter. So we're going to go here to this hashtag and we're going to put HN luxury newsletter. And we're going to hit enter. So
I was going to say, what do you think? I'm not capable of buying a luxury house? Jeez.
Absolutely not. I think that your name is synonymous with the word luxury. So now we have Todd receiving the Harry Norman newsletter and the luxury newsletter. So make sure you write those hashtags down, HN newsletter and HN luxury newsletter. Okay. And now Todd is going to receive this beautiful newsletter here. So this is a practice one that I sent to myself, and you can see the format looks gorgeous. It also debuts our new beautiful website. Great articles. And of course, at the bottom, one of my favorites, the events and upcoming happenings. Okay. And you can see I'd opted to have my signature turned on, but I had not copy and pasted it from Outlook. So you see at the bottom that you don't have the Harry Norman branding. So that's one reason I would encourage you to have that turned on so that your signature, it can be as if one of your clients is receiving an email from you. So really beautiful presence there. Do we have any questions?
You hit a couple of them there with the luxury newsletter hashtag. We have a couple of others in there that we might want to either address at the end. Probably better to address at the end and keep moving forward, but we'll get to them.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. Is there any way it can pull from to Melissa's? Yes, this does pull from multiple MLS systems, Kate. Why is there not a landlord tag? That is a great question, Isabel, and that is something I would actually need to ask of our support team. Connie, we already have that luxury hashtag. Michelle, we know everybody now. And Todd, you could just type it in the chat if we don't have it there. We're going to have HN newsletter and then HN luxury newsletter. Oh, now I see there that Alexis did that as well. Okay. So let's keep on keeping on. Now that we have our contact subscribed to the Harry Norman newsletter and the luxury newsletter, for those of you that are thinking, okay, well, we know the April newsletter was sent out yesterday. How do we go back in now and send that email out? I'm going to show you how you can send and schedule an email as well. And we'll use the April newsletter as the e-card piece that we share, okay? But while we're in Todd's profile, I want to bring your attention to the profile details. I'd mentioned at the beginning of our time together that there's a way you can have this CRM send a text and an email for a home anniversary. What you need to do though is make sure that you have the closed date, the last closed date within the profile details of your contacts, okay? And then you also want to make sure that you have the birthday, okay? And those two dates need to be added again so that you'll be able to take advantage of then setting up kvCORE to send a text and an email on your behalf. And I'm going to show you that momentarily as well. But Todd, while we are in your profile detail, the thing that we want to do next is bring our attention to this right-hand side here. And when I hit next, it actually took me to the next contact in my CRM. So don't do that. We actually want to go back to our first contact. There's Mr. Todd Test. I knew right away because I imported Todd, added him as Sphere, and this other contact I have in here was a prospect. Okay, so that was my little red flag that I knew I got off of Todd. All right, so Todd, the seller waiting in the wings, right? Waiting for either the unicorn to come on the market or to get the courage to go ahead and capitalize on that equity he has in his house and put it on the market. So Todd, don't you think it would be fair to say that you might be interested in receiving a market report for your neighborhood?
Absolutely. I always want to kind of be aware of what's going on in my neighborhood and home values.
Yeah, exactly. A lot better than just hearing it from another nosy neighbor, right? So adding a market report is so super easy. Again, we're in his profile details and we just scrolled over on the right-hand side of his contact details to market report. We're going to hit add right here, and then we can search for location, and you can do area, city, neighborhood, zip code. So for this situation, Todd is in Garden Hills. So we're typing in Garden Hills and we can see our little think circle working hard over there to populate. And there we have the neighborhood Garden Hills. So we're going to select Garden Hills. Okay. And then we're going to select the frequency of how frequent we want this report to be sent. Okay. And it's in seven day increments. So for Todd, because we know things are warming up, it might be a little overbearing to send him something every week. So Todd, how would you feel about, bi-monthly, 14 days? Or even 21 days. 21 days, the data might be even richer for Todd to get a little bit greater of an idea of what actually has gone on in that neighborhood within that time frame. What do you think?
Yeah, and this is where I recommend that you set yourself up as a contact or multiple contacts, because I've done this to see kind of what is being pulled. I've set it up by high school, I've set it up by my neighborhood, and I'm kind of interested to see exactly the differences and the nuances of the information that is shared. So I think it's, obviously we want to get you using this with your people right now, but I would kind of say maybe for the first couple of weeks, use yourself as a dummy, test dummy, and see what the information is before we, just start sending it out to everybody so you can kind of get an idea. But I'll say 21 days. I mean, I currently have it set up for me to receive it every 7 days. And to your point, Emily, for the area that I selected, which was Roswell High School, I only get a couple of things right now, which,
Okay, good to know. So what we're going to do is set Todd up for every 21 days. We're going to select add. Okay. And what that's going to do, it's going to schedule it for 21 days from today. to be sent. Okay, so we can see right here that we subscribed Todd to the Garden Hills market report, and we can view that market report right here.
While that's working, Emily, there was another question in the chat about can you cover the validation after adding a new contact?
The signatures we're not holding in the CRM. Can you cover the validation after adding a new contact? The validation, whomever is 008457, could you expand on what you're referring to with validation?
Left-hand side, underneath the hashtag, under the new contact, it's a contact validation.
So it's under the what?
It's under the new contact's name. And under the hashtag. It says
Okay, we'll wait for them to put that in the chat. But while they're putting that in the chat, what I want to do is bring your attention to the market report for Garden Hills. Okay. I love the new look of this report. We can see at the top right here, it gives you the map view where these red dots are of the specific area that the report encompasses. So it shows us the new to market, off to market, days on the market, average home price, with a little indication on what's the trajectory. Are we down? Are we up? Homes for sale. I love this as well because this is all of the homes within that Garden Hills area. So you can actually see what's included in the report and where these numbers are coming from, right? So you'll see that there are a couple of duplicates. Those duplicates, that's something that kvCORE is working to address right now. But that listing in particular, it just pulled from 2 different MLSs that it was listed in. So probably FMLS, and that was probably in Georgia MLS as well. You have the most expensive and then other popular listings here on the side. One other thing I like right here, and we'll build on this later, you can basically use a lot of these market reports as a way to capture news leads, right? So maybe it's something that you post on social media and you build into a squeeze page. It's something we'll get down the road, but this subscribe now and the fact that that's on the bottom of your market report is really going to be advantageous for you from just a lead capture standpoint. Okay, so we're
another quick question, Emily, since you're talking about the market report, Isabel put in the chat, since we set it up for Garden Hills, could you also add Peachtree Park and Peachtree Hills as well? Or in other words, can you add additional neighborhoods?
Yes, awesome question, Isabel. So we can go right here and we can add more areas. So we can go in there and we can do Peachtree Hills.
And by doing that, are they going to receive different ones for each area, or is it all going to be combined?
Yep, they're going to receive different reports for each area, so it won't be combined. So you would want to make sure if you are subscribing someone to multiple market reports, you let them know, hey, there's not a glitch in my system. I'm not spamming you. I'm going to be sending you multiple reports to reflect your areas of interest, okay? And I think the other one Isabel had said was Peachtree Park. So we'll get in there and add Peachtree Park. All right, and we'll add there. You can also see if you want to use geographical areas rather than MLS, this neighborhood is pulling from the neighborhood field within FMLS. So if you want to toggle over here and use geographical areas, you're welcome to do that as well. If you have a more kind of hyper location or something that would not necessarily be recognized as a quote unquote neighborhood within FMLS. So we're going to add Todd to all of those reports right here. You can see the times when those were sent. You can view the reports right here. If you ever want to make any edit to the report, we're going to use this little pencil tool. If we ever want to delete the report over here, we're going to use this right here. We're going to remove it from underneath the market report. If we clicked this right here, it would only remove it from your communication feed with Todd. So if you're ever unsubscribing anybody from a market report, we're going to use this little guy right here. Okay. We're going to unsubscribe. Okay. So let's move on to the next contact that we had within our CRM. And we see here that this test two, they are a prospective client. Okay, we're gonna change them to be a prospective buyer and seller too. We could, say that they are a little bit more motivated than Todd, but still need some relevant, valuable information on what's happening in the market. Okay, so for this person in particular, because we know they are a little bit warmer than Todd, we might want to go ahead and get them set up on a search alert as well. So you can see right here, I'd already set this particular test client up on 2 search alerts, and this was actually in the Lake Oconee market that I was playing around with. Let me see this question here. Does it go by map or by the city of the listing? For example, many Dunwoody addresses are still listed as Atlanta. If we do a report for Dunwoody, will it pick those addresses up? Would zip code be better? Laura, that might be something that you actually go in and test to see. With the Dunwoody addresses are still listed as Atlanta. Todd, in the reports that you have sent, what have you found better accuracy with? Have you seen a difference in using the city or using a specific area?
Well, I've played around with both. I've just done Roswell as a city. I've done a 30075 as a zip code, and then I've also done a high school. And, so I think since it's pulling the information straight from FMLS, it's all going to depend on what is entered into FMLS. I know Dunwoody can be a little bit of a unique area in that it's, in 2 different counties even too. So, but that's why I'm suggesting maybe get in there and kind of play around with it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Great question, Lauren. Thanks for sharing what your feedback has been. So Hicks just said, please do a high school search. We will go ahead and get into setting this particular test rev 2. What a name that we have for our prospect. We're going to get it test rev 2 set up on a search alert. Okay. So we're going to go into the search alert, and let's actually start with Todd and pretend like Todd would be interested in this. Since I already have that other test set up on a search alert, let's start from scratch. So this is going to be, this is going to mirror what you'll see on your screen too, right? We're back in the timeline of Todd's profile details. We're going to scroll down here. We see our market reports that we have set up. Now we want to add a search alert. So we're going to hit add search alert. Hicks, is there a high school that you would like me to use?
Just do Marietta.
All right, and you see right here, we are going to select Marietta High School. You always want to make sure, if you notice the first time that I select Marietta High School, it didn't stick underneath the area. So do make sure that you are selecting it, and then you're seeing this gray bar below it to confirm that it has been selected. With the search alert, you can set up multiple areas, multiple high schools, all on one report. Here's where you have the option to draw on the map, and then you would be able to use geographical areas over what's feeding from MLS. With this report, here's your frequency. So you have never, as soon as possible, daily, twice weekly, once weekly, twice a month, and monthly. For this individual, we're going to do once weekly. And then the email CC. So for Todd's situation, we know Meredith is also an active decision maker in the house. So we'll likely want to include her email address here in the email CC. And then here's where you can get a little bit more specific on the criteria. So for Todd, if we knew, for example, he was definitely looking for a single family home. Again, we want to make sure that that sticks. We would select it there. Maybe we know that he's also, could be potentially interested in townhome.
Yeah, because this is important, because if you don't do that, then you're going to get basically every property type return.
Yeah.
So you really want to, the default is going to be for all statuses. So you're going to want to go in there and single out single family and townhouse or whatever the criteria is.
Yep, absolutely. So now we have those listing types in there. Maybe right now, since he is just a prospective client, we're not going to get as specific with the price range, the bed bath count. You do have the ability to get as specific as you would like, even down to the various property amenities, structural options, and you have the ability to add keywords too. So this really does kind of mirror the searches that you set up within your FMLS, but it's just going to be much better for your tracking purposes to have it all funneled within your CRM. Okay, so with this alert, we can save and send, or we can set alert first. If we set the alert first, then we're actually going to see all 65 listings that populated with that search criteria. So we can view all those. When you view all of these, you can see up at the top that this is basically Todd. He's the client that this search pertains to. And you'll be able to see any properties that were saved by Todd, any alerts of any new properties. And then right here, Todd will actually be able to click on this. This is going to be what his search alert looks like. So he can actually see where all of these properties are located on the map. He has the ability of filtering as well. So maybe he wants to see the homes featured from lowest price point to highest. Maybe he's wanting to be able to look at a list view on the map. So just know there's a lot of different functionalities, and overall, this view looks a lot cleaner than the view that you're getting through FMLS. Wouldn't you agree, Todd?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and the thing too is you're going to get the notification when they've clicked on something, which is, you may not do that on the other.
Yep, exactly. So, and what Todd's referring to there, you'll be able to actually see on your dashboard when you first log into your CRM, you're going to see all the activity tied to your CRM. So any activity that happens when a search alert is viewed, when a property is favorited within that search alert, when a market report is viewed, any inquiries that come in from those alerts, any showing requests, etc., all that will be nicely organized into your dashboard so that you can then preemptively connect with the people that have showed interest in any of those reports. Okay. So now that we feel pretty good about this, we'll go back here to edit, and we're just going to go ahead and save and send. So now we know, because we have Todd set up on a weekly report, he's going to receive that report every Wednesday. Okay. So we're going to X out of here. We can go back into his contacts and we can see right here, now we have Todd set up on this search alert and we have Todd set up on these market reports, okay? We're gonna edit a search alert by clicking on the alert that we've set, and then we can edit the criteria here. So maybe, you know, as Todd is getting a little bit more acclimated on what's happening in the Marietta High School area, and maybe he's also a little bit more tuned in into his price range, we can go back in here, you know, and we can edit that accordingly here. We can update the alert to save those new preferences. And once we take Todd from, you know, prospect to client to close, we can come in here and we can just deactivate that alert. So now I think you should be able to see at the bottom that that alert is no longer active for Todd. Okay.
And so that in essence answers Hick's question about deleting the alert.
Yep. Sorry, Hicks. I did not see that come through. Only 2 ports, correct. So how do you delete one? All right. So that's how we deleted the search alert essentially, Hicks. But if we go back into Todd's profile here and we go down to the market report, we can delete the market report that we're sending right here by using the X. And it says, are you sure you want to remove this market report area? Okay. And we can hit yes. All right. Okay. So Todd, now in terms of the communication touch points that we've automated for you, you know, we've gone in and we're kind of covered in from the standpoint of positioning ourselves as the market expert to you by sending out the market report to you and by sending out those search alerts. But now, don't you think we should make sure that we're sprinkling in an e-card here and there?
Absolutely. Yeah. In addition to kind of giving the market information, you know, you just want to be making sure you're staying in touch. And I think a campaign is an excellent way to do that.
A campaign is an absolutely excellent way to do it, but I want to layer in how to send a mass email before we delve right into the good stuff, the campaign. Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's X out of Todd's profile here. All right. And we can see that we already have Todd set up on the hashtag to automatically receive the Harry Norman newsletter and the Harry Norman Luxury newsletter. But Easter is upon us. You know, we gathered from the conversation that we had with Todd at the open house. He will be celebrating. So we want to also take the liberty, take advantage of the occasion and send him the Easter e-card. So what we're going to do, and this is really simple. You can do this to as few or as many contacts as you would like. You'll see up at the top right here, you have the ability to view up to 250 contacts on your screen. Okay, so if we're going to mass subscribe someone to receiving an Easter email, we would want to make sure, particularly if we had a database of 500, right, that we changed our view from maybe seeing 25 contacts at a time to 250. Okay. And then what we would do right here is we would select all of the contacts that we have on this page. Okay. We were pretending that we were only sending it to Todd. But I think for all intensive purposes, let's pretend like we're sending this to everyone, because this is how I would suggest that you do this in bulk. So selecting everyone, we're going to go to more actions and we're going to add the hashtag, right? Because that hashtag is essentially the list of how you're organizing people. And then we're going to email this e-card to that hashtag, to that group. Okay, so we're going to add our hashtag here, and we're going to create our own hashtag for all of the holiday e-cards, right? So that we're setting it up now, but then we can set up other e-cards for Earth Day, Mother's Day, whatever the occasion may be, by using our own holiday e-card hashtag. So I'm going to use my initials here to personalize it for myself. And I'm going to set my initials EHN holiday. And I'm going to press enter. Okay. Then I'm going to hit update tags. All right. So now you can see Todd, he's receiving the newsletters. He has my holiday hashtag. You can see Test Rev 2 has my hashtag and Test Rev. So all three of my small but mighty contacts have that hashtag. Okay. So next, what we want to do, we want to go in to our marketing tab to schedule the email to be sent to all of our contacts with EHN holiday. So we went from our contacts down to our little paper airplane. We clicked on our paper airplane and now we're on the screen. We're going to select get started. We're going to schedule our email. And we're going to send our email to all of our contacts with a hashtag EHN holiday. There we go. Okay. And the template that we're looking for Easter. So we see that our marketing department has put in 2 different templates. We'll select lucky number 1. And you can see what that e-card template looks like. Okay. We also see we have agent full name realtor. That'll say your name. So it'll say Michelle Collins, realtor. It'll have your phone number, your social media handles at the bottom, so long as they are updated on your profile within kvCORE. Okay, that again feeds from my Harry Norman office. So if you need to do an audit, make sure you get with your office manager. Okay, one thing that I think is really easy within this kvCORE platform on how to send an e-card, you have these different items here on the side that you can incorporate into the card. Adding a text box. Let's say we want to add a text to the top here. Here we could say, wishing you a, well, we got to spell it right, joyous Easter and wonderful spring, right? So we could add that. We could come up here. We could click on the box. We can center it. We can highlight it to make it bold, right? We could do it with a different color. We could write a little spring update personally from us. So I really like how easy it is to personalize something quickly within our new CRM, okay? So let's scroll back up here. When do we want to send this? We can select here, and just like in our old CRM, we have the ability to see all the dates through the balance of the year. So we know Easter is on Sunday, so maybe we want to send this on Friday. So we select OK. All right, and then we select our time here. We'll do 8 a.m. and we can change the subject. The subject is going to auto-populate based on what the template is called within the CRM. So for this one, it defaulted to Happy Easter, but we could say Happy Easter from Emily Norris. You could put in your team name, whatever you would like. We could say, you know, something cute, Happy Easter. You know, if you're feeling fun, to send in a little subject line that maybe breaks the noise. And then we can go down to the bottom here. We want to hit include agent, assigned agent signature. And this again ties back into that point, the example I used with the beautiful signature Diane has set up. If we click that we're including that and we've copy and pasted that into kvCORE, now it's going to automatically have that same signature on her e-card. So it looks consistent, it looks clean, and it looks exactly like the other emails that are being sent from Diane.
So Al put in the chat, Emily, will it have our individual website? So that would be a place that you could put that in, is with the signatures, a link to their Harry Norman website.
Yeah. Al, so I mean, technically you could have two different calls of action, right? Because in the bottom of the e-card right here, that's going to take anybody that receives this to visit your website. But then also on the signature of your email, you know, a lot of agents I see have the link to their website there as well. So yes, multiple opportunities for you to send people back to your website. Great question. Okay. Now, while we're in this e-card template, of course, when we are ready, we can go down here and we can hit schedule. All right. And so now we see that we have Happy Easter. It's scheduled to go out on the 7th. To everybody that has the hashtag EHN holiday in their contact information, that's a right total of 3 contacts. Up until the 7th, I have the ability to go in there and edit, or I can come in here if I change my mind and I can cancel sending it all together. After the card is sent, you'll be able to hit view. Okay. Now, the other one that I want to show you how to do really quickly before we get into our last automation, which is a campaign, and it's how you can go ahead. The April newsletter went out yesterday. If you're still interested in sending out that newsletter, you have the ability to do it. So first and foremost, you know, we would need to make sure all of our contacts within our CRM has that Harry Norman newsletter, Harry Norman Luxury newsletter. We would go back to our campaigns, scheduling out that mass email, and we would go here to scheduling the email. And this time we're going to send an email to everybody with the hashtag HN newsletter. Okay. And in the templates, we're going to search for newsletter. Okay, and you're going to see here the template for the April newsletter. You can see the subject for this. It says this month's HN Digest. So you can change that subject line as well, however you would like. You can schedule that to be sent here. We'll say we want to go ahead and have it sent today at 3 p.m. We're going to include our signature again. And we'll hit schedule there. Okay. So that's a short and sweet way of how you can do that. Okay. So we have one question, Todd. It says on the new record contact.
Yeah. If you go into me as a contact, and then the question, this is related to the earlier question about the validate. So if you scroll on, once you've got me open, scroll down and then keep going to the very bottom. It says contact validation run. And so then basically I think what they're saying is when you click that, it pulls in additional information on the new lead, turns the badge from gray to green, LinkedIn info, age, etc. So maybe I think it's how they're validating the actual contact depending on how it's come in.
So what is the question? How to optimize that, how to use the feature?
I think they were just wondering what it did at first, and maybe they've done it, and that's what the answer is. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shay. But while we're waiting on that as well, So Emily, if you've set somebody up as, you've gone in and you've updated your database and you've used the hashtag HN newsletter. Let's say it's the middle of the month and you've added a new contact, like you met me at the open house and you want to go ahead and set me up. If you put me in, will it deliver that newsletter even though it was already sent out by the company at the beginning of the month?
Yeah, absolutely. But you would have to go in like I just did. And okay, we know it's sent yesterday. I'm adding you as my contact today. I still want you to receive that beautiful Harry Norman newsletter. So I'm going to go in still to my marketing section, click on scheduling the email, and then select that newsletter as the template and send it out to everybody with that hashtag Harry Norman newsletter. Does that answer?
That's where I wanted to qualify. So if you go in there and just add the hashtag, they're not going to receive it until the next one comes out unless you go in and schedule it to be sent if it's already been sent out for the month.
Yes, thank you so much for clarifying that. Yes. So everybody that was kind of following along with the demonstration and went through your contacts and added the Harry Norman newsletter, Harry Norman luxury newsletter, like Todd said, they're not going to actually receive that automatically from the company until May. They can receive it, but you have to do it manually. So that was the demonstration that we just went through. We see we already added that hashtag in bulk by selecting all of our contacts, going to add the hashtag, doing the HN newsletter. Right, and we know that they're already subscribed there or added. So we update the tags. It's not letting me because I already have the tag applied to all of my contacts, but then yes, we just went to our marketing and we went to our schedule mass emails. And that's where you see when we scheduled the email, we still sent it to everybody with that newsletter hashtag. And in the template, we just searched for the newsletter, okay? Thanks for that clarification.
Yeah, I just didn't want them to think that if they did that, that it was automatically going to go out, that, we'll be waiting until the next month unless they physically go in there and do that.
Yep, awesome. Okay, any more items before we go on to the campaigns? Does everybody that's on the call feel pretty good about being able to schedule out communications, sending search alerts, and market reports?
The date that the newsletter is scheduled to go out each month. Is it triggered to the first or is it?
So Kate, it typically is the first week of each month. Yesterday it was sent on a Tuesday, the 4th. There's not a way in the CRM that you're going to be able to see that date, right? But if you go ahead and have your contacts subscribed, you'll know that it'll come out the first week of each month, most likely that Monday or Tuesday. Nikita, please upload this to Trainer so I can review this again. Yes, absolutely. We are going to do that. Okay, so it sounds like, would you do the same process to send to one person? Moving forward, as we add contacts throughout the month, I would like to send them the newsletter then. Yes, absolutely. Pam, that's a great question. Anytime throughout the month, right? I mean, unless you have them subscribed to the newsletter, it's like the last day of April and you know that they are going to automatically get the May newsletter, maybe that's when I wouldn't do it, because then they could end up with an email from you, a newsletter from you in the same week. But I think that's a great best practice moving forward for sure. Vanessa, is there a list of hashtags? Todd, could you type in the chat? The only 2 hashtags right now that we have for the company are the HN newsletter and then the HN luxury newsletter. But it's a great question, Vanessa, because you can create your own hashtags as well.
Gretchen's in the garage.
Laura, do you have a question?
Oh, sorry.
No
No.
worries. Okay. So you can look at hashtags again. It's your way of organizing the people that are in your database, right? To receive the communications that you want them to receive. So I'll give you one example. I believe the Woodstock concert series, is that coming up, Todd?
It is, yes, going to be starting, I believe the first one's in either May or June. It's coming up
Okay.
though.
Okay, awesome. So great, really applicable example, right? So maybe I'm an agent in the Woodstock office and I want to promote that concert series to the people that are within my database that I know live, work, or play in the Woodstock community. So maybe I go back into my contacts, right? And I go through my contacts and I select the individuals that I know live, work, play in the Woodstock area. And maybe I want to add my own hashtag specifically for that so that they could receive my communications and invitation to invite them to the Woodstock concert series. So I could add the hashtag here. Whoops. I'm selecting on the people that I know live in the area that are in my database. I'm going to my more actions and I'm typing in Woodstock concert series. Right, okay, and I'm hitting enter, all right. And I'm gonna update those tags because then I can go into my marketing and I can schedule an email. I can basically communicate to that subset of my database however I want. So I'm using that as an example to really paint the overall picture and intention behind using a hashtag, and that's to break your database down into how you might communicate with them, what you want them to receive. Does that resonate with you, Todd?
Yes, it does. I think, as people further along, your database and what you are trying to send from a consistent communication standpoint, you may create a newsletter specific to your neighborhood, and then anybody in your neighborhood or geographic farm, set that up as a hashtag. And then when you've created it, go ahead and just assign it to those individuals that you've created that hashtag for as well.
Yeah. Let's say your office even creates a separate publication, right? Let's say that your office creates a newsletter or a magazine or some type of communication. You would then go in same exact way. Maybe your office sets up a hashtag for whatever that communication is. Let's say it is a monthly magazine. We would select everybody. We would go to more actions. We would add our hashtag, and then we would create the hashtag for everyone that we want to receive that, office monthly magazine, right? And then we go in and we schedule out the email exactly as we did before using the schedule mass emails. Okay. Okay, so before we leave, I want to just quickly touch on smart campaigns. I will say, if you feel like, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. If you feel like you've kind of maxed out at this point, right? You feel like you have enough work cut out for yourself, getting people on a market report, getting people applicable prospects on a search alert, you are not going to offend us if you exit stage right now, okay? Because the last thing we want to do is overwhelm anybody, okay? And there's going to be many more opportunities we sprinkle on. The communications we've talked about already, Todd, don't you think that definitely gets them in flow with their people? It's a
Absolutely.
good start.
I mean, if you think about the frequency that we just did, we did a weekly update, or we did a 21-day on the market update. You demonstrated if I'm somebody who's maybe in the market, I'm getting listings every 7 days.
Yeah.
You're hitting the holidays, which there's typically one at least every month in the whole year. So right there is the three kind of passive touches alone, plus the newsletter, and then the luxury newsletter. So that in and of itself, that's why I was saying earlier, 3 might seem like, oh my God, that's overwhelming, but these are all meaningful connections and you're delivering quality information. So there is just enough right there to get you covered.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go back in because I do want you to know enough to be dangerous on how to be able to set up that smart campaign. So I'm going to go back into sharing my screen and we're going to jump right back in. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. We're going to jump right back into our little paper airplane under all marketing. And you see right here, we have manage campaigns. Okay. So we're going to go into our campaign manager and you're going to see, I need to delete this, Todd, so we can actually set you up on it. All right, Todd and I were doing some rehearsing before and I still have the campaign saved. Okay, so now we're back into our campaigns. All right, and you're going to see you have 3 buckets of campaigns. You have your campaigns. So those are the campaigns that you pull over that you're actively running for people within your database. You have your kvCORE library. This is a huge competitive advantage to the software that's available within kvCORE, these campaigns. Todd, you can probably talk a little bit to some of the analytics too, and some of the research that's gone into the messaging and the frequency of the touch points that's designed in these campaigns to really capture attention.
There's a lot of, they've done kind of the back work, the leg work for you guys, and kind of they've incorporated the right amount of frequency of contact, what the message is, and then how it elicits a response. So, in any of these, you can go just click the buyer nurture 1 year campaign, Emily, if you would. So when you open this up, this will show you exactly what the campaign looks like, every single one, and you can go in and you can view it and so forth and so on. My encouragement to you is don't get hung up on kind of what is said. You can go in, you can customize that and that kind of thing. I would suggest get the campaign going and then just, see how it converts leads for you. So don't get too in the weeds on, oh, well, that doesn't sound like me, or, I would never say that. Just get the thing going and then see how it works. Because they've put a lot of science and, been doing this for a while, and they are the experts on this kind of thing. So don't go messing up a good thing, I guess is what I'm saying.
I like that message. Okay, but if you did want to edit, I'm going to show you how that you can do that. But in order to actually send any campaign to anyone in your database, you need to make sure that you add the campaign from this kvCORE library, and you can see add campaign is along here. You can see up here the name of the campaign, the description of it, when the campaign is set to start. So that's that behavioral automation I'd referred to previously. It gives you the target audience of who the campaign is designed for, the communication channels that are utilized in the campaign. If there's anything that's a task, that means it's a task just pinging you, just coming to you for then you to go and manually connect with that client. I say manually like we're all robots now, but you know what I mean, so that you can actually pick up the phone, do the human interaction, and connect with them on your own. We're going to pretend like Todd is a default homeowner sphere, okay? So right here, you can see that this could and should be designed for anybody that comes into your system as a sphere. Their status is sphere of influence. This could be for a seller, a buyer, and then the communication channels that are going to come will be an email, a text, a task, and a connect call. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add that to our library. We can see at the bottom it's been added to our library. We're going to go over to the My Campaigns here. And we're going to see right here, we have that default homeowner sphere added. All right. This is where we go to toggle it to turn it on. So if we weren't going to make any edits to it, we could do this. But one thing we need to do first, we need to set up the trigger. And the trigger is essentially how you're going to tell kvCORE who to apply this campaign to and when to do it. So we're going to click into the campaign title here, okay? And we're going to use this edit up at the top, all right? We're going to edit the campaign, and we're going to start with the campaign logic. And again, you know, that campaign logic is helping kvCORE understand when and to who you want this campaign to go. Okay, for this one right here, we are not going to do the trigger for the status sphere, because I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of people within my database that are labeled sphere. And I might not want this many touch points going to every single person, right? That's 18 touch points that they're getting. So we might want to do it just for a specific hashtag. Long-term sphere seller, right? Because we know working with Todd will likely be a little bit of a slow play. Always run means that it would essentially always run even on top of another campaign that you have going. Locked mean that it would be, you know, locked for editing. So we're just going to leave those at default. No. You know, we wouldn't want a couple of campaigns running congruently. That might be a good way to scare somebody off. The campaign designated for buyer and seller. Campaign details, we don't want to mess with any of that. And we're going to hit finish. Okay, so now we've updated that. You can see that the campaign is going to start when we label a contact in our CRM with this specific hashtag. Okay, now we're going to go down and we're going to look at the communications that are automatically written, canned communications for you. We're going to go into edit, and we can see this canned message, which I think is really pretty good. Hey, first name, I've been showing a few homes in your area and thought of you. I have a market report that I send out monthly. It's a nice way to stay in touch with people in my network, and give them a view of the real estate happenings in your area. I'll plan to include you so you can keep top of mind in the market. As always, let me know if you have any questions. So you can make any changes that you want right here, okay? If we wanted to remove this initial email altogether, because we know we already subscribed Todd to a market report, and maybe we went ahead and sent him an initial text or email separate, we could just remove it up here at the top. It would ask if you wanted to remove, you can hit OK. So you can get an idea. It's always going to show you the method. It's going to show you when that communication is being done. You can edit the timing of that communication as well. So you see right here, days, you can change the days to hours or minutes. Days is probably perfect, but the value you can change. Instead of it being day 0, maybe you want it like day 7 after you meet, right? And maybe you want that text going out, you know, at 21 days. So you can massage and edit any of these campaign features that you want. But like Todd said, kvCORE has kind of already done the legwork for you. So I couldn't have said it any better. Don't mess up a good thing. Or is that what you said, Todd?
That's what I said.
Okay, so we're just going to save that. Okay, we're going to go back to our campaigns. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to toggle this guy on. And we're going to hit yes. Okay, now we want to go back into our contacts so that we can add Todd to that campaign. So we're going to go to our contacts. We are going to select Todd right here. We're going to go to more actions. And we are going to add campaign. It reverted to everybody's contacts. More contacts, add campaign. And we can see that's the only active campaign we have running right now. So we're going to hit sphere and we're going to add the campaign. All right. And then when we go back to our marketing into our smart campaigns, we can see right here that we have that set up. We can click back into it to edit any of the campaign details that we want, just as Todd said. And now anytime we have a new contact in a similar scenario as Todd, and we're adding them into our CRM, we can just go ahead and include the hashtag with their contact information, long-term sphere seller, and they're automatically going to receive this campaign from me. Okay. So I'm going to look at the chat really quick. I'm sure we have a few questions in here. Okay, Hicks wanted to see how to delete a search alert again. I'll show that quickly. Is it possible to convert the e-postcards or newsletters to print them so we can snail mail them? That's a great question. There are some ways that you can do some printing from the CRM, and we'll cover that separately, Kate, so that we don't go too much of a rabbit hole right now and confuse anybody from the campaigns. Is there a campaign we can use for a buyer that just bought? Which one would it be? Isabel, that's a great question. You can look at all of the kvCORE templates that are currently available. There is a buyer nurture campaign. This one is going to be to keep you in front of long-term buyer prospects, though. You have active buyers. There's not one that'll be specific to someone that is a buyer that just purchased, but what you will have, Isabel, is a closed campaign. So let me see. Maybe I passed right by it. This default closed, I would probably add both buyers and sellers to the default closed, right? So I'm glad that you brought that up, Isabel, because that would be a really good thing for everyone to do, would be able to go into that default closed, add it to your library, do a quick checkpoint to see what those communications look like, adjust anything as you want. But you can see the first email is a pretty nice check-in with how's everything going.
That'd be a great opportunity, Emily, too, to use a hashtag like past client and
Absolutely.
assign any past clients that are in their database,
Yeah.
and then create the campaign around just like you did before with long-term seller,
Yeah.
hashtag past client, and pop them on that, and it would happen for them.
So we'll go in there and we'll do just like Todd said, past client. We're going to hit enter. We're going to go next. Buyer, seller, whoever it is. Next, finish. All right. We'll go back to the campaign. We'll turn that campaign on. And now we go back into our contact, and just like we did before, we click on our contact, we click more actions, and then we add the campaign. Oh, sorry, I was doing the
Default closed.
Oh, it's default close is the campaign that we do. So then we add that. Okay. And now it's added. Now it's not added because it didn't continue to keep Todd selected when I did that little hashtag. So, trial and error. We're going back. We're selecting Todd. We're going to more actions, and we're adding that campaign.
And then what you could do in addition to this, again, go into your contacts as you're cleaning up your list Once you've created the hashtag past clients, then you could go in and filter by that and do it all at one time. Right, Emily?
Oh yeah, so that's another really, really great point. So you'll see here on your screen, and guys, I know we're 8 minutes over. We'll wrap up in less than 60 seconds. You also have this really nice feature on the side, filters, okay? So for this exercise that we're doing right now, if we are importing our contacts correctly and we are selecting all of our closed clients, we can filter by closed, okay? I don't have anybody closed in here, right? So it's not going to do anything for me. I would need to have the status closed in here to be able to then populate all of my closed clients onto one screen. And then I would be able to select them all and do a bulk addition to that campaign. Okay. I've stopped my sharing. I think the only thing that I did not do yet, and Hicks I will do, is show how to delete a search alert. But are there any questions on campaigns?
Thank you, Michelle. And if this wasn't enough for you, Emily, you and I are going to be live and in living color next Wednesday at Partner Services, kind of running over a lot of the things that we just covered today. So if your mind is just kind of like little overblown right now, and you want to kind of come play in the system for a week and come for a refresher, we'd love to see you in person next Wednesday.
Yes, next Wednesday. And what's the time frame, Todd?
Believe we have that one from, let me just confirm before I say something, but I want to say it's a slightly different time. It is later in the day. Give me one moment. Let's see.
We're having it over lunch too. Oh, it's
Yes,
from
it's
12:32.
yeah. So we are doing it from, where is it?
12:30 to 2. Russ.
12:30 to 2. Yes, ma'am.
So feel free to come then. I mean, this will be a great opportunity for you to go in over the next week, add yourself to maybe some of these campaigns, play around with the search alert, market reports, and we can use part of the time that we have together next week in person as kind of a ask me anything. So anything that we haven't covered that you're itching to integrate into your CRM, we'll cover that off too, okay? Including the birthdays and anniversaries, which is a super easy trip, but I'm afraid to layer anything else on today.
Well, Emily, I got to give you a round of applause. Kudos to you. The old trainer in you was evidently coming out. You did a great job multitasking, driving, and doing all the other things. So thank you. I was just along for the comedic relief and a little color commentary. So great job.
Hey, you were wonderful subject matter for all of the many examples. I can't wait to see the new home you and Meredith buy in Garden Hills. And before we leave, I'm gonna indulge Hicks. I'm gonna share my screen again one more time. If you were curious about how to edit a search alert, I'm going into Todd's profile. I'm clicking that search alert. I'm editing the criteria here. I can save and send it. I can set the alert with the new criteria. I can hit cancel and go back to my timeline. And basically this alert was not a good example because I'd already had it turned off, but Hicks, we're pretending we have that alert on. When we want to delete it, we just go to making it inactive, essentially by toggling that field. And you can see at the bottom, alert has been turned off. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop the share. Any questions?
Yeah, so I've unmuted.
You can take yourself off mute.
I thought I did.
You are.
Okay.
Go ahead, Hicks.
This is a group question. We can only have 2 search alerts, it appears, correct?
You can have more than 2 search alerts.
Okay. All right, so let's per contact, right? All right.
Search alerts per contact.
It appears we can only have 2 search alerts per contact in what we've been working on. I don't know.
Search alert, well, you can have the 2 search alerts, but you can have multiple areas in a search alert.
Okay, let us tinker around with it then, because what we were trying to do is get rid of one entirely. But that doesn't appear to be doable. They're editable, you can turn them on or off. So let us tinker with that, because I know we got to wrap.
So we have alert 1 and alert 2. So you're right, you can have 2 different alerts, but within the alerts, you can add multiple areas. So where is another high school in Marietta? You know, for instance, you add it there.
But we'll tinker with that, Emily, because you need to wrap, and I'll have a more specific question for you maybe by email later, okay?
All right, I hope I'll see you in person next week.
Or you might not want to wish that, girl, but we'll
I
see.
do. You're becoming my resident subject matter expert and
Yeah.
kvCORE champion. So please come.